Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to another episode of the Loot Makes a Video About Whatever He Feels Like show. Coming to you now every 2 weeks with hopefully brand new, unique, awesome, original content. It should blow your mind, maybe. As for this week, I have been playing, you probably know, Bioshock on my other channel, and I said I was going to use it for a video, but because of time restraints, I'm probably not going to be able to do that. But not all bad news. I'm going to make a video now which is going to be a top 10 list, top 10 things I like about Bioshock. And it's also going to be, it's kind of a twofer. It's top 10 things I like about Bioshock, but it's also top 5 plasmids. So hopefully you'll enjoy it. Why don't we just, skip the chatter and get right into it, huh? I think it's safe for me to say that I love me some Bioshock. I mean, I love it so much that I actually ended up buying it 3 times before I even got to play the damn thing. You'd think I would have given up after the second try. And it will always be near the top of my favourite games ever list. But while the game does have a fantastic story and atmosphere, I'm going to leave them out of this list. This will most likely just be the things that made me go wow the first time I heard or saw them. One last thing, for the sake of this video, I'll only be referring to the first Bioshock game, although some of the items will probably apply to Bioshock 2. I'll definitely not be talking about the new Bioshock Infinite though. Starting us off with number 10 is what may well have been the reason people were so hyped up about Bioshock when it first came out, the Big Daddies. From the first time we got a look at these iron beasts, the whole gaming community fell in love. They're such a brilliant concept, single-handedly being both a tough mini-boss with necessary rewards and a horrible monstrosity that can and will change the favour of any battle in the blink of an eye. I sometimes find that the difficulty isn't in the battle, but choosing whether or not you actually need to fight one or not. If you go into a fight with one while being unprepared, it often cripples you for the rest of the game. According to design sketches, the Big Daddies were actually originally going to have a mass of tentacles and mutated body parts coming out between the cracks in their diving suit, which would have been pretty terrifying, but to be honest, I prefer the final approach. Not knowing what's inside a Big Daddy is a pretty damn scary thought. When I mentioned before that I wouldn't add atmosphere as an item to this list, I guess I kinda cheated, since for me, the Big Daddies double any reaction I would have gotten from the atmosphere in this game. Knowing that a difficult battle could be around the corner at any time makes every moment feel more tense. I think most people would agree that Bioshock wouldn't be Bioshock without the Big Daddies. Number 9 is Rapture, as in the concept, the city of Rapture. I'm not talking about any specific location within Rapture, I'm not even talking about all the levels that you play through, I'm talking about the city as a whole. As I've already said countless times, my biggest fear is water. Well, okay, it's aliens, but there aren't any in Bioshock. And as with any fear I have, I find myself strangely drawn to anything involving it, so naturally a city at the bottom of the ocean piqued my interest. As we all know, Bioshock is the spiritual successor to System Shock, which is also a great game by the way, so it kinda makes sense for Bioshock to take place in a deserted and unreachable location. But I'm not sure you could go any further from the reaches of space than the depths of the ocean. It's a nice contrast because on the one hand, we don't really know what goes on in space, but in the other hand, we know nothing about our own oceans. Who's to say what is or isn't going on down there? In terms of the game, having the location at the bottom of the sea makes a huge difference. Even though you're in the same world as everyone else, it still manages to feel much different and alien. Oh my, not alien. Now, I know what everyone is thinking. Wouldn't it be cool to have some kind of pineapple flavored cola? Oh, wait, that's just me. What I meant to say was, wouldn't it be cool if you were able to stalk a Big Daddy without it noticing, even after you've angered it? Wouldn't it be cool not to have to worry about pesky alarms for accidentally smashing a shop window during a heated gunfight? Wouldn't it be cool just to stop the world caring about you for 1 minute so you could reload? Well, ladies and gentlemen, number 8 is natural camouflage. Natural camouflage is a tonic, which is kind of like a neat little hack that adds a passive ability to Jack, and this one is by far the best. With natural camouflage equipped, when standing still you'll go completely invisible and won't be seen until you move again. I first found this tonic by complete accident, but it completely changed the way I played the game. Unlike the second game, Bioshock was more about having strategy, and natural camouflage just added to the way I usually play. Number 7, Adam. No, I'm not talking about Adam and Eve. Wait, yes I am, but a different kind of Adam and Eve. The video I had planned a while ago was an explanation of what exactly Adam is, and since I still have all the material, I figure I'll just copy and paste what I was going to say in that one and into this list. What do you mean cutting corners? Adam is the name given to the unique and unstable chemical contained within a certain seabed-dwelling slug, discovered by accident when Bridget Tenenbaum was out for a walk and noticed that a fisherman's wounds had been healed when in contact with the slug. The chemicals are essentially stem cells that work in reverse. While ordinary stem cells replicate the surrounding cells, these stem cells replace the existing cells with copies of themselves. The extraordinary thing about Atom is that it replaces cells with itself even when the new cell isn't found naturally within the specimen. So with genetic engineering, you could create an Atom cell that will be able to heat itself up until it caught fire, inject it into a human, and suddenly have an arm that can catch fire at will. Unfortunately, since Atom is ridiculously unstable, the cell breaks down and must be replaced constantly, or else the area will simply die. I can't believe I managed to get through all the basics in that short of a time. Why didn't I make the other video? Whatever. Anyway, that aside, the lore around Atom is simply fantastic. It has its own backstory and really is the main reason why Rapture is in the state it is in the game. It fueled partnerships, violence, and has its own bizarre scientific explanations. A lot of love and time was put into the concept, and it sure paid off. And now it's time for some audience participation. Which of the following weapons in Bioshock is by far the best? Is it A, the revolver, B, the revolver, C, the revolver, or D, the chemical launcher? If you answered D, you are incorrect. Likewise if you answered A, B, or C. The correct answer is none of the above. The shotgun is by far the best weapon in the game. I feel that the shotgun is the most underrated weapon in the game. I'll go as far as to saying that it's one of my favorite weapons ever. It's easily the most effective weapon in the game. The regular bullets have some great splicer stopping power, but it also has explosive bucks that set enemies on fire, and the most awesome bullet in history, the electric buck, that stuns enemies and does more damage. Combined with the natural camouflage, it's perfect against big daddies. As well as being awesome on its own, it's also got some great upgrades. Tired of not doing enough damage? Get the upgrade. Not shooting fast enough? Get the upgrade. Now you've essentially made the fastest shotgun in history. The only downside is the ammo is really expensive, and the special ammo is also quite scarce. Still, definitely worth it in my books. Now that we're on to number 5, I can start tackling the top 5 plasmids. There are so many great plasmids, and I felt it shouldn't just be one number on the list that I dedicated to plasmids, so these 5 are my favorites. Number 5, the classic, Electro-bolt. Hurling a bolt of lightning at an enemy, what could possibly go wrong? The answer is nothing. Nothing can go wrong. In case you haven't picked up on it yet, I love the electrical elements in this game, and with the electric buck you're essentially a stunning machine, and you can also stun enemies pretty effectively. It's a double title. Being able to instantly kill an enemy in the water is brilliant, as well as doing the zap and whack, since weapons do extra damage on stunned enemies. What really makes this plasmid so great though is the range. Being able to stun a running enemy across the map really makes this plasmid stand out. Sure, the other plasmids have great range as well, but this one just feels like it doesn't lose any kick, you know what I mean? You know, the box of Bioshock should probably have some kind of warning about all the screwy physics. So many odd things happen with ragdolls that it starts looking like you're pasting a 13-year-old's Gary's mod poses into the game. And on that note, number 4 is Telekinesis. The thing about Telekinesis is that it really doesn't do damage by itself. You could almost go through the entire game without using it effectively, but when you find something heavy or explosive, it's doomsday for Rapture. Being able to pick up anything and throw it essentially turns anything into a weapon. I know that Half-Life 2 had the gravity gun before Bioshock had Telekinesis, but Telekinesis felt more powerful. It was basically designed purely to kill enemies, unlike the gravity gun, which is also used to solve puzzles and do other stuff. Number 3 is the Cyclone trap. Imagine going for a lovely stroll in Rapture. You see a shimmering spinny thing on the floor and suddenly you're flying. Cyclone trap, ladies and gentlemen. Cyclone trap. It's probably the most unique plasmid of them all, but it has so many possibilities. It helps in turning Bioshock from just being a first-person shooter into having some strategy. You can place some traps in a corridor and lure some splicers towards you, only to have them suddenly flying around. This would have been higher on the list, but unfortunately it has the downside of never disappearing if it isn't used, and you can always hear it. Always. Bioshock 2 improved the trap so much in that regards, and as well as being able to charge it with other plasmids like Electro-bolt and Incinerate. A little known fact about me is that I adore bees. No idea why, I just really like bees. But now before I get a whole load of bees in my mail, I should point out that I love bees in theory, not so much in practice. They're still adorable, but they still also have little stingers. Fortunately, my good buddy Bioshock has me covered, with number 2, Insect Swarm. Insect Swarm basically does exactly what it sounds like on the tin. Creates a swarm of killer bees that sting and harass your enemies. I don't fully understand how they do this to big daddies, but they do. I always just assume that there's some kind of magic bees with tiny little stinger ones. In a way, this plasmid works very similarly to the Electro-bolt. It causes damage and mildly stuns an enemy. However, Insect Swarm is more like an area of effect plasmid and can stun multiple enemies that stand near the angry bees. The only reason this isn't a candidate for number 1 is because the bees also have a tendency to sting Jack as well, which isn't so good. Now, if you've been watching my Bioshock playthrough, as you should have been, it should be pretty obvious to you which of the plasmids is my favorite. So I'll just let past me say it for me. Sonic Boom! That's right, my number one favorite thing about Bioshock is the Plasmid sonic boom. I'm not entirely sure why I love this Plasmid so much. Any Star Wars game has force push, and even Skyrim had the unrelenting force shout. Maybe it's just the janky Bioshock physics that makes this Plasmid feel more fun than any of the others. Or maybe it's just the fact that the screen blurs for that one frame, and in that time your target has already flown across the room. Or maybe it's just that shouting sonic boom while sonic booming a splicer is just so satisfying. It should be a clinical form of stress release, I swear. Not only does it throw enemies away, but it also gives them huge damage and stuns them for a second or so. But what's best about the Plasmid is that it's available for only one atom. The best Plasmid in the game is available for a measly one atom. What a fantastic deal. But I can't help but think it would be 10 times cooler if it also worked on Big Daddies. But I think at that point it would become so awesome that it would inspire researchers to actually create such a thing and slowly cause the world's economy to become bent on sustaining research for a functional real version, drowning out all funding for other video games and causing the only entertainment to be some kind of football based on Sonic booming the ball. What an awesome world that would be. I hope you enjoyed this list. Remember, a new episode every 2 weeks, hopefully. If you did like it, be sure to like and subscribe and stuff, and feel free to check out my Facebook page where I spam the internets with all my news and humor. Catch you later, guys.